I would like to start the proceedings by introducing our MC for the afternoon, the esteemed Mr. Dick Conti.
Esteemed. Wow. Thank you. Welcome to a wonderful afternoon honoring a wonderful gentleman of jazz, but it's such an interesting guy. A lot of great musicians owe a debt to him, especially these folks right here. Mike and Wesla did, what did you say, how many albums? 16 albums that he produced with them. That's amazing. More than any other artist, I'm told.
But the first album that Orrin produced with Thelonious Monk, which was one of his most important artists, and one of his first albums that he was producer on, he made Monk play Duke Ellington tunes instead of his own tunes, because he thought it was the best way to introduce him to the public. And it was a perfect idea. And so the album on Riverside Records, Thelonious Monk plays Duke Ellington.
And Orrin was often fond of saying, yeah, I made every kind of record except one that sold. So that was, just came to me, one of the many Orrinisms. I knew him as a legend. I asked him once, I said, so Orrin Keepnews, what does it feel like to be a living legend? And he said, well, I'd say living is the most important part of that. And he was that. But when he was on the West Coast, he was, everyone sort of knew of Orrin Keepnews. Really, he was sort of, this mythic figure. But when we went to New York, Orrin was ready to go. He had new clothes on, new jeans. He had a mock turtleneck. He was ready. We were going. He was 80. He was ready to go. We went out. He set up this whole thing and got me a set of musicians that were absolute top level. All he had to do was call them and say, would you do this for me? And they said yes, because musicians loved Orrin in a way that and I think was very different from other producers of his time. I asked him why, and he said mainly one of the big reasons was he gave them their publishing back much earlier than other producers would. So, and that was a big deal. The thing I noticed that happened was when Orrin walked in the room, and I saw this happen with Sonny Rollins and a number of other people, when Orrin walked in the room, the musicians lit up. Orrin! And that's so rare. I'm super fortunate to have known him and Martha. One of the great joys in my life was watching Martha's romance with Orrin. Yes. That was a real joy for me, and so happy for him and for Martha that occurred.
Bring out the Kronos Quartet right now. They did a couple albums with Orrin. They did a Bill Evans album, which was really beautiful, and they did a Thelonious Monk album. And they're going to do one of Monk's tunes, Mysterioso. album that Orrin produced was with Kronos and Wesla Whitfield. Come on out, Wesla.
Orrin was lucky enough to get a great deal during the first tech boom. And emusic.com hired Orrin to produce records. And we were the lucky recipients of some of that. So one of the things we did was an album called September Songs, which included the Kronos. And we were thrilled to do that. But it was a wonderful recording experience, and it was Orrin's generosity and also Orrin's love of the American songbook, because even though he was a jazz producer, he adored the American songbook, and so, which is why he loved Wesla. And so, anyway, we're going to do a tune from that album, September Songs.
My love must be a kind of blind love. I can't see anyone but you. And dear, I wonder, do you find love an optical illusion too? Are the stars out tonight? I don't know if it's cloudy or bright, 'cause I only have eyes for you, dear. Oh golly gee, when you turn those heaters on, woe is me, I gotta put my cheaters on. Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Oh, those weepers, where'd you get those eyes?
And in those days, Orrin had this marvelous blue car, and all the way from Sacramento to my place, I learned about Thelonious Monk. And it was one of the most amazing conversations I've ever had. And right at that point, Orrin was in the process of starting Landmark Records. And so in that 2-hour musicology lesson, not only did I learn about Thelonious Monk from probably the best person you could learn it from, but also it was decided that Kronos was going to do a Thelonious Monk record. And that's how we got to know each other. And eventually, Orrin joined our board of directors, and he was a marvelous friend of Kronos and music, and to us personally. But we have something that we'd like to present to Martha for Orrin. And this is, some of you might be able to see it, it's the Kronos Quartet Hall of Fame. It's for Orrin. And I know he loved baseball too, so there we are. It says, the Kronos Quartet, Kronos Performing Arts Association wishes to acknowledge and honor extraordinary and distinguished contributions in support of Kronos' mission and artistry by Orrin Keepnews. With great appreciation and gratitude, welcome to the Kronos Hall of Fame.
Come on up, Matthew. Come on up.
singing with a whole lot of energy. It was just somehow not happening. And so finally, Orrin made some remark to that effect. And it really pissed me off. What do you mean? Does this look so easy? And so I did the next take, and it was perfect. And he said, well, I guess we know that now all we have to do is make you angry for a good take. It was true. It was absolutely true. I think that's what was the most annoying part of it. Anyway, I have a song that's a favorite of Mr. Greensill and myself, and Orrin as well. The mood is set for dreaming. Love's knocking at the door. But oh, my heart, I'm reluctant to start. For we've been fooled before. The night is like a lovely tune. Beware my foolish heart. How white the ever-constant moon. Take care, my foolish heart. There's a line between love and fascination. It's hard to see in a moment such as this.
One of Orrin's favorite artists is here today. Bobby Hutcherson, where are you? Where are you? There he is. Yay, Bobby Hutcherson. All right. One of the greatest of all time, and we're lucky to have him here in the Bay Area. We have Peter Keepnews, who has inherited his father's love for jazz and over the years has written for Downbeat, Rolling Stone, Billboard, and the New York Times, where he is currently an editor. Peter Keepnews, come on up.
Hasn't this been a great afternoon? Just trying hard to keep the tears out of my eyes, and it's not that easy. Few words about my father. Wesla nailed it. He did have a gruff exterior, and believe me, you don't know the half of his gruff exterior if you didn't grow up with him. I vividly remember every argument we ever had, but I cannot remember what a single one of them was about. But she was also right about his tender heart. He had a huge heart, and he had a huge capacity for love, and he loved jazz. Orrin Keepnews was an amateur in the very best sense of the word. I obviously don't mean that he was bad at his job. I mean, the first definition of amateur in the dictionary is somebody who does something for love and not for money. And it's not that he didn't want to make money. He had a family to take care of, and he took care of us very well. But he didn't get into the jazz business to make money, which is a very good thing. One of his favorite jokes was a riddle. The question is, how do you make $1 million in jazz? The answer is, you start with $2 million. Orrin Keepnews didn't make $1 million. He also didn't lose $1 million. He made enough to get by, but he was never in it for the money. He was in it for the love. And he might have just been the world's greatest jazz fan. And he put his love into action, and the results were some of the greatest jazz records ever made. He pretty much made it up as he went along. He didn't know what a record producer did. He figured it out himself. He improvised. And because he had a tremendous love of the music and a great rapport with the people who made it, as you heard me say, he made it work. As Jimmy Heath said, He let them do their thing. He didn't always stand out of the way. You saw that he, as he put it, which is a slight exaggeration, forced Thelonious Monk to record 2 albums of standards. You don't force Thelonious Monk to do anything. But he was able to make suggestions and to have input into things like personnel and repertoire, but the artist always came first. Always came first. He lived an extraordinary life, and I am so grateful that he was my father.
When I was 5 or 6 years old, the phone rang and I picked it up, and a man's voice on the other end, speaking in some strange fake accent, said, "Would you like to go for a ride on my Baghdad carpet?" Now, just completely blasé, I just said, "Dad, I think it's for you." My parents later explained that the person on the other end of the line was Lenny Bruce, and he, for some reason, was doing a line from his Thief of Baghdad takeoff. But, I mean, didn't everyone have a childhood like this? So this idea of jazz as my father's family, it really hit me, or hit home in these months after my father's death, when I would look at comments on Facebook or on blogs or other websites and see all these messages from people who didn't necessarily know him, but who spoke about him and his work in such a personal way, and who were so appreciative of him, and who clearly were members of his family, again, whether they knew him or not. And who really felt that they had lost a family member. So I think we're grateful for all that Martha gave to him, but really that she gave to us. And when I say us, I refer to his families, plural, because again, we shared Dad willingly and gratefully with his huge jazz family. And that's part of what made his life so remarkable. And that's part of why it's really such an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you, to honor him, to recognize him, and to thank him for the incredible contributions that he made. So, thank you.
Dick Conti's going to play with us, which is an honor for me. Also, Akira Tana is going to play some drums with us.
It's really an honor to be here. Orrin actually kicked me into jazz. So because of him, I'm singing jazz. I'm a big history buff, and in 1955, I read that he recorded Thelonious Monk first on Riverside, and then in 1957, he recorded a young singer nobody had heard of named Abbey Lincoln. And we did a record together. He and I did a record together, and a demo that hasn't been released, but the record was released. And Dave Ellis, it was great to be on it with me, and also Eric Greed Trio. And so we recorded this song, and it's a Thelonious Monk piece that Abbey Lincoln wrote words to later on. Hope you like it. It's called Blue Monk. Going along, life is your own, but the cost is sometimes dear. Being complete, knowing defeat, keep it on from year to year. It takes some doing, Monkery's the blues you hear, keeping on from year to year.
I realized much later on, I did grow up in the area of vinyl records, was that probably 1 in 3 of those records was produced by Orrin. And I went back later and looked, and I said, oh my goodness. I hadn't really realized how much he influenced me before I even knew who he was. And so he may not have been a player, but he facilitated so much music that he created a lot of players, and I was very fortunate to be beneficiary of that later in his life.
Normally at memorials, there are no cover charges. But there was a cover charge today, and the reason for that is because the money is going to a scholarship in Orrin Keepnews' name at the jazz school in Berkeley. So, and everyone's given of their time, and so it's a wonderful thing to do. So this is Dick Fraguglia, and those of you who don't know, Bill Evans did this anagram. It's an anagram of Orrin's name, a person I knew. So Dick Fraguglia. We're going to close this evening out. We have one more song. We want to thank you all for coming and for all the speakers and all the musicians, and especially for you, the audience, for coming here, and for Yoshi's. Yoshi's has been a marvelous help. And we're going to close out a tune that has links to Orrin because Bill Evans recorded it on Everybody Digs Bill Evans, and also Sonny Rollins recorded it, which is part of Orrin's career. It's a tune called Olio. Dave Ellis, Akira Tanner, John Watala. Thank you all for coming, all the other musicians. Kronos Quartet, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you all again. Bye-bye.